Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Running the Bases. I'm your host, Michael Gareff. I'm joined today by Marco Peralta, Ryan Blank, and Nick Nath, and a very special guest today, Danny Vietti. Now, Danny is an MLB writer at CBS Sports, and as per himself, he is a fan of San Diego sports. Very important to keep that in mind. He's a San Diego sports fan, specifically San Diego baseball sports fan, but he's keeping an open mind about it, and the host of the Fantasy Baseball Today podcast. Danny, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, of course. I'm glad to be here. Always happy to talk some ball.
Oh yeah, we're going to talk lots of ball today. Danny's going to be here with us for a little bit. We're going to chat about a bunch of different things between Padres, journalism, everything we've got going on in baseball. First off, since we've been here, spring training has began. We've had games. It's been incredible. We're really happy to be having baseball back. I mean, I personally, speaking for myself, I'm sure I speak for a lot of you guys when I say it's exciting. It's just so great to have baseball back. So great to be doing journalistic things covering actual games. Danny, what is that like for you as a baseball fan? After the 2020 season being as weird as it is, what is the feeling like this year entering the 2020 spring training?
Yeah, just optimism, right? Optimism that we really didn't have last year. And I think I can speak for everyone here, really. It's just nice. It's a breath of fresh air. And the people that I really think of are, like I have a friend who his dad is divorced and he's older, he's retired, and he lives for Dodger baseball games. I mean, every time when he wakes up in the morning, he looks to see if there's a Dodger baseball game on. He lives for those games. That's all he has. His kids are all grown. He lives for those games. And so those are the people that I think of. These people have something to look forward to on a day-to-day basis now. And not only that, they might even have the option to go to a game. So that to me has been the coolest part about it so far.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's just it's great to have something to look forward to. Now, you also mentioned the Dodgers. I think it's important for us to get our team fanhood out of the way. I think it's good for us. Marco over there, clearly Dodger fan. You can see by the hat. Me, pretty obvious Mets fan. Ryan down there is a Royals fan. And then Nick down here, he's the only one not wearing team apparel, but he's a Tigers fan. That's the main reason why.
I keep telling you, Michael, you have to let the guests
I think it's better for him.
We're doing.
I think it's better. We're not talking about our teams. There's no way for me to guess.
He could have just known all of us besides Nick.
That's true.
Yeah,
No. So Danny, usually, like, I've been trying to not take as many baseball gear on the show. Like, I take off my Dodger hat and I put like a random hat on, and then I take a different shirt to have different guests. And then all of a sudden, Michael out of nowhere, just to let you know, Marco is a Dodger fan. I'm like, dude, now, like, why?
You got to make it a game at some point.
Yes, bro.
Yeah, but it would be blind guessing, trying to guess what we were doing if we just came in street clothes. I mean, it's also important because I always wear shirts from different teams. I've been wearing the Mets so that people know who I go for. But, I was debating between wearing my Chris Paddock shirt and a Mets shirt today. But I decided to go with the Mets shirt. But
it's funny. A lot of people think I'm a Padre fan, which is not true at all. But
so then what's your affiliation there, if you have one?
It's tough with national media. You try and not have any. That being said, I did grow up in Northern California. I grew up a Giants fan, so.
Interesting. Good to know. All right. Well, then I've also got a Madison Bumgarner shirt that I can toss on.
Wait. Okay.
Why do you have to mention that name to me?
Yes,
why you just have to say that name?
You know what,
Danny? I know you're here very limited time with us today, but we got to let you know about something that happens with our host, Michael Garaffa. He says different types of shirts. So the fact, like when you have like debit card transactions, at least 90% of those transactions are from MLB Shop because of pure baseball T-shirt.
Here's a problem. Okay, you're being nice. You're being nice. It's more like 98%.
Yeah, it's a problem. No.
It can be worse. Garaffa. His money in some not so health friendly neighborhoods, if you know what I mean.
Absolutely.
We'll have to wait until he's 21 for that one. We'll see.
But I mean, hey, see, he gets it. He understands. Collecting baseball T-shirts, it's my thing. It's cheaper than most other baseball collectives too. So, you know what? We're getting there. I've got 28 out of 30 teams. We're almost there. So let's get into actual questions because Danny's not here forever. And I want to make sure that we stay on topic here. In general, I want to ask a journalism question first because I think it's important for us to get a little bit of, your knowledge because you're someone who writes for CBS Sports. I think that's important. You're in a very big field. And for us as aspiring journalists, I just want to pick your brain a little bit. For us as people who are growing up in this journalism world, what are some things that if you were a kid in our shoes, what would you want to tell us to get to where we are?
Well, first of all, I appreciate the comments, as it is a tough industry for sure. If I were just speaking to you guys, and I'm sure you guys have heard this before, I have no secret formula here. I don't have a Devin Williams changeup that's going to land you the best gig in the biz. But all I can say is don't be afraid to reach out. Like, for example, what Michael did, just asking me to come on the show, I think is really important, because there's a lot of really good people in this business. There's some not great ones too. Okay, it's just like anything. But if you reach out, just introduce yourself, and you just tell them what you want to do, what you want to accomplish, where you want to be. I think a lot of people are willing to, lend that hand and help you guys out. So I would just say don't be afraid, and just be confident in what you do. I know that's very vague, but don't be afraid to slide in those DMs and say, hey, what's going on? Do you guys have any jobs available? I think people are really open and are welcoming of that.
That's good to know. I've been reaching out to tons of people, trying to get people on the show to chat with us, share their knowledge. And obviously you were one of the people that said yes, which we're very happy about. So I like that. That's good, important information. I don't like feeling like a nag. So I'm glad to know that I'm actually, doing something that'll help me out. Marco, if you've got any questions, let's fire away.
No, I just second to what Danny said about networking. It's really important. That's why I have the connections that I have, and has put me in the position that I'm in today. So I'm thankful about that. But Danny, the thing that I wanted to ask you is that, yes, we might have these connections, and just reaching out to people, but how did you get your start? How would you recommend people, hey, even though you're trying to introduce yourself, try to do this to at least get your foot in the door to the broadcasting or journalism world of baseball or general sports?
Yeah, that's a good question. So just me personally, I played ball and went to college up in Northern California, and I played ball is right outside of Sacramento. And so I got my foot in the door with Max Preps. And for people that don't know what Max Preps is, they're the high school sports leader in coverage. And they're actually owned by CBS Sports. So I basically started very low on the totem pole there. It was a very, very boring job to start. And I just kind of worked my way up, got into social media. I think if people are looking to get their foot in the door, social media is a really, really good avenue for you, just because especially once you get into these big companies, you're connecting and networking with so many different people. And like I said earlier, once you tell them what you want to do, you might not want to do social media your entire life. But once you're in communication with editors and writers and you're in that inner circle, you tell them, hey, this is where I want to be. For example, when I started at Max Preps, like I said, I was working a really, really boring job. Within 2 weeks, I walked into our editor, Steve Montoya. I walked into his office and said, I'm working over in this section right now. It was called Coach Support. I'm working over in this section right now, but I really want to be with you guys over here in editorial. If you guys have any openings, please keep me informed. And I got a job over in the editorial department within a month. So I got my start with Max Preps, worked my way up the totem pole, and just kind of, wiggled my way through.
I do have a quick follow-up question. Me personally, I'm not a writer. I'm over broadcaster, for example. Right now, I'm, like I said, in my last semester over at Cronkite, and I'm currently doing the Phoenix Suns games as a backup announcer. So just when you're trying to get yourself up the ladder, just what kind of mentality do you carry within yourself to be hey, you could get this, or just be patient, or some of that sorts?
Yeah, patience is key. And again, kind of what I said earlier, I don't have a secret formula. I'm 24. I still have a long ways to go with my career. So I'm very much in a similar position as you guys. I'm still trying to work my way through and trying to find my way. That being said, I do think people, executives especially, they'll look at us and say, look, you're only 24, 25 years old. Maybe you need some more hair under your arms type thing. You need some more time to develop. And that's okay. I mean, Will Middlebrooks, who's my co-host with Fantasy Baseball Today, we basically endured and tried to start a baseball podcast for CBS Sports. And they basically told us just doesn't make sense business-wise right now because CBS Sports does not broadcast Major League Baseball. But we do have a fantasy baseball app. So that's how we kind of went down that direction. But I think that at first they were a little hesitant to give us that gig simply because of my age and simply because Will doesn't have a whole lot of experience. But once you get that opportunity and you prove yourself, we've proven ourselves, and they're willing to give us more and more opportunities. So again, very vague, but just take advantage of your opportunities.
Well, it seems to have worked very well for you because that podcast is obviously doing a very good job. I mean, you guys are one of the most well-known podcasts out there, and it's I really love what you guys do. So now, Ryan, I'm sure you have a question for Danny. Let's hear what you got.
Yeah. So knowing that you started with Max Preps, very well known around the high school sports arena, how did you get connected with them?
Mm-hmm. It was as simple as I found a job on Craigslist, believe it or not. I was working a really horrible produce job. I was delivering produce to different restaurants at 5, 6 in the morning, just because I needed to pay for school. I needed to pay for living expenses. And I saw this job at Max Preps on Craigslist, and I didn't apply for it right away because their headquarters, it's outside of Sacramento, is about a 30-minute drive. And I'm like, I don't know if I can afford a gas to get there. And 2, it's kind of a far drive. And then 2 months later, or month and a half later, I kept doing that produce job, and I just got tired of it. I got fed up with it. So I finally applied, and the rest is history, I guess.
It's very true. I mean, it's good to have aspirations. You've got to, I mean, you always have to start somewhere, and you just build yourself up from that.
And I do have a follow-up. Where did you start with Max Preps? Like, what were you covering?
Nothing. So the first job I had with Max Preps was, like I said, it was called coach support. I'm trying to think of what exactly my label was, but our section was called coach support. And I was literally, it's called game changer. So it was literally coaches would input their scores, and some of them would be correct, some of them wouldn't be correct. I was tasked with making sure they were accurate and then putting them in the system. It was like thousands and thousands of numbers and scores up on this computer screen. And I basically had to make sure that they were accurate. That was, in a nutshell, that was my day-to-day job. And then after that, I went over to editorial and was social media producer part-time. And then I eventually got social media producer full-time, social media editor, and then moved on to CBS Sports, where my title now is still senior social media producer, but I dip into a couple different pools. I do podcasting, I do writing. I have 3 different pools that I dip into.
Very interesting. Nick, what you got?
Danny, obviously you're huge in like the MLB field and like a huge baseball guy. Was there ever a point where you had to make that decision between like baseball and another sport, or did you always know baseball was your sport to begin with?
That's a good question. Yeah. I played basketball in high school, so I've always had kind of a love for basketball too. And I'm like a big time Sacramento Kings fan, as terrible as they are. So I think baseball just kind of was always my love and passion, really. I don't think there was ever a time where I really wanted to go into the basketball industry. I just have always kind of fell in love with that game, and one opportunity led to another. Like I said, I played college baseball, and so that led to some different connections and networking opportunities too. So maybe before I got those connections, I might have considered basketball a little bit more, but that's just kind of the field I fell into. I think it just as much picked me as I picked it.
Now that's interesting, especially considering that, me and Marco we're locked into baseball. I don't watch any other sports, but Nick and Ryan, they have a lot of knowledge in other sports and work on that stuff. So I think that's a decision that they're going to end up having to make at some point in their career. So obviously, definitely some important advice there. Now, I've got a tweet pulled up from you. It's your most known tweet. Tell me about it. Tell me about it. Sell it to me now. I want to hear about it. White Sox, Padres World Series. You're very passionate about it. I want to hear why.
Yeah. So I had made this case, I think it was 2019 when I sent that out. And
yes,
I looked at those 2 teams. Look, predictions are 95% luck, and the other 5% is a little bit of baseball knowledge sprinkled in. So if that comes true, it has little to do with my knowledge. It's more so just luck. But to answer your question, I looked at those 2 squads a couple years ago, and I looked at what their farm systems were looking like. I looked at guys like Fernando Tatis Jr. that was going to be coming up, Mackenzie Gore, the Padres. And then I looked at Chicago. They were going to have Eloy Jimenez, Luis Robert. They had studs in their farm system. And then I looked at what their financials were looking like too. And I knew that both of those squads would have an opportunity come 2020, 2021 to make some noise in free agency. Sure enough, they both did. Chicago was able to land Lance Lynn in a trade. They were able to sign Liam Hendricks, Adam Eaton. And then over in San Diego, they were able to bring over Yu Darvish, Blake Snell, Joe Musgrove, and they were able to extend Fernando Tatis. So the way I looked at it was I love what they were doing financially, or at least what they were set up for financially. And then secondly, I love what they were doing with their farm system. They were doing it the right way. They were doing it organically. So that's just kind of the way I looked at it. And like I said, half of it is, if not more, luck that they're having as much success as they are now. But, I'm kind of glad it's proven true.
See, I give you major props for that, though, because you did so much research into that. You looked at the prospects. You looked at their financial situation. You found it out. I mean, you did the work that the other people aren't willing to do, and that's why you got it. And that's why this genuinely could play out, the Padres and the White Sox in the World Series. And I'm sure you would probably be one of the most popular people in the baseball world if that happened, because I'm sure your tweet would be showing up in Game 1 of the World Series. But I mean, what is that like for you, knowing that kind of thing, like it actually paid off? Because you could have picked, let's say, the Pirates and, I don't know, let's just say the Pirates and the Orioles just randomly, and you could have done that, but you didn't. You picked these two.
I like that you didn't say the Tigers, because Nick's down there. Like, please don't say the Tigers. Please
I actually kind of forgot about the Tigers a little bit. That's even worse.
Honestly, I can honestly say, if it comes true, awesome. But if not, am I going to be, cuddled up in my blankie in the corner if it doesn't come true? No, so I'm not going to take all that much pride in it. I'm not going to, think I'm the best writer in the world because my prediction became true, because last year I thought it was going to be Yankees Dodgers in the World Series. That didn't prove true. So if I want to take as much pride in the success, I need to take as much downfall when those predictions don't come true. So again, I hope it comes true and my fingers are crossed, but we'll have to wait to see.
I agree. We'll do one more roundup of questions and then we'll let you head on out. But Nick, we'll go backwards this time because we started with Marco. So Nick, if you've got anything else for him.
Can you come back to me?
Yes, sure. Ryan, you can go next.
Oh, now I'm being thrown on the spot? Oh, gosh.
Oh, come
I was
on.
expecting it to go just the same way around, but I guess you wanted to go.
We're journalists. We should be able to come up with questions on the spot.
Danny, when you look at this type of Padres team, what do you think their biggest, I would say, hurdle they have to go over for this season?
I mean, just to give a concrete example, it's got to be the Dodgers, right? And if we're talking concrete example, it's going to be the Dodgers. If we're talking mentality / culture, I think it's just going to be experience, really, or non-tangibles, I should say, is just their experience, because they don't have a whole lot of experience. And if they're expecting a guy like Mackenzie Gore to come up and be a big-time factor, which I don't think they're going to put too much pressure on him, just because they have so many different elements already to that rotation. But, it goes without saying the Dodgers have a whole lot more playoff experience than the Padres do in that division. So, look, the World Series is going to go through Los Angeles. The Dodgers have not shown that they're going to take a step backward by any means. I mean, they added Trevor Bauer, who won the Cy Young last year, to a rotation already full with Kershaw, Buehler, Julio Urias, Dustin May. I mean, the rotation's ridiculous. So, look, it's going to have to go through Los Angeles, but I think San Diego has enough talent to, make it work.
I have one follow-up. What team could you see come out of the water and be a surprising contender? Not for like the World Series or anything, maybe for like their division or a contender to get into the playoffs wild card wise.
I can make the case for every team in the National League East. I think that division is 5 teams deep, and I can make the case that all 5 of those teams, whether it's the Marlins, Phillies, Nationals, and Braves and Mets, who are the 2 favorites, I think any of those 5 teams could win the NL Central, just talent-wise, just because NL Central is a little bit down, and those 5 teams are really good. But who's going to emerge from that, I don't quite know, just because of how competitive that is. Going over the American League, I don't know if they're exactly a surprise anymore, because they were able to land George Springer. But the Toronto Blue Jays are setting themselves up for success for a long, long time. And I think they're ahead of schedule. I mean, they made the playoffs last year when very few expected them to do so. So, I think Toronto could certainly make some noise, especially with the Red Sox being, not quite at where they want to be yet. And the Orioles are going to be really terrible this year, at least expected to be. And then the Tampa Bay Rays obviously lost Blake Snell, lost Charlie Morton. So that's a lot of talent leaving Tampa Bay, and I think Toronto could emerge from that.
I completely agree. I love the pick of the Blue Jays. I've been a big fan of them for a couple of years now. Now, Marco, we'll get one more in from you and then one more in from Nick before Danny heads out.
And I had a two-part question. That was the thing. I'll just say it very quickly. So, Danny, just wanted to know your view on analytics and sabermetrics. You know how basically what happened in World Series, Blake Snell got pulled out in Game 6 after going 0 for 6 against the top 3 batters. So what's your view on sabermetrics? If managers really try to believe in them and make something happen? And the second question is basically, what is the biggest advice that you've had given to you in your journalism career that you're willing to share with us?
So for your first question, I would say analytics are bad for the product of baseball. It doesn't mean they're not valuable, because they obviously are. I mean, it's helped guys like Trevor Bauer become a better pitcher, because he looks at those numbers and he says, how can I get better with my spin rate? How can I get better with more vertical movement on my curveball? So it can certainly help players. But the fact that managers are essentially using a template to set up their pitching rotations and set up how they're going to maneuver their bullpen, I think it's bad for baseball. You're seeing more pitching changes. You're seeing more strikeouts. It's not good for the product of baseball. People want to see action, and we're seeing less action because of the use of analytics. That's my personal opinion. Again, I think they're very valuable and they can help certain players, but product-wise and just optics-wise, I don't think it's helping the game. Best advice, I think it just kind of goes, I don't think any certain person has given me advice that I've really clung on to, but just, I think going back to what I said, alluding to what I said earlier, was be confident and don't be afraid to reach out to people. And I don't want to talk in circles here, but just one example is that before I got my job, my full-time job at CBS Sports, I applied to Sacramento State's graduate program. And I still have the email. I just saw it the other day because it made me laugh. I got rejected because they said that my writing was not to their standards, essentially. And within 6 months, I was writing for CBSSports.com. So it's kind of like a haha to you. Yeah. So somebody's going to believe in you. Somebody's not. Just believe in yourself, and that's the best you can do. And in one day, you're going to get your opportunity.
Absolutely. Life lessons there from Danny Vietti. I love that. All righty, Nick, one more question, if that's okay with you, Danny. We'll get Nick to wrap us out.
Of course.
Nick, you're muted. You're
Going back to more of a baseball question. You mentioned before how you did your research on like the White Sox and the Padres for this World Series prediction. Are there teams in the league right now, and you've seen their farm systems? Can you maybe give us like one or two teams you think can make a World Series push in the next like 5 years that aren't very good right now?
Nick's like grabbing for it. He's like, "Come on!"
I'm not saying it's. I'm just
He's
curious.
looking for the Tigers. I know he is.
Look, it's a good question, and to answer your question, I'll give it to you. I think the Tigers are going to be competitive soon. With that being said, I have a couple other teams circled before the Tigers. Though I think the Seattle Mariners are set up for long-term success too. I think with Jared Kelenic, Rodriguez, I mean, they have, if Justice Sheffield can take another step forward too this year, I think it's going to be huge for them. I think the Mariners are going to be very competitive. And I mentioned already the Blue Jays. I mean, they're going to have control of Bichette, Vladdy, Biggio, Teoscar, Hyunjin Ryu, Ben Pearson. They're going to have these guys under control for the next 3-4 years. So they're going to be set up for success for a long time. There's always going to be your staples. There's always going to be your permanent Yankees, Dodgers that are always going to be competitive. But those three, again, I think the Tigers do have a chance to be competitive in a few years. But the Mariners and Blue Jays in particular, I kind of have my eyes, looking at them for the next 3-4 years.
Ryan's over here crying that you didn't say the Royals.
I'm not crying at all.
I love what the Royals did this offseason. I think it was a steal to get Andrew Miller.
I love what they did too. I love it.
And I think that's they're one of the most undervalued franchises in baseball, because they do more with their money and their financial circumstances than maybe any other team in baseball. They don't believe in using their organization for profit. They believe in winning ball games. So I think Royals fans are I don't think they know how spoiled they are, because if you're an Indians fan or you're an Oakland A's fan, you're looking at your team and you're saying, why are you not spending money? Whereas the Royals are like, we do what we can. And they do. They do. And they're not always the best team every single season, but overall, they put up a pretty solid product.
Yeah, what the thing with the Royals was just needed a change in ownership, and you're really finally seeing that with Sherman, is that he's going to do what he can with what money they have. And he did that by going and getting guys like Mike Minor, Carlos Santana, and then trading for Benintendi. So I completely agree.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
Ryan's gonna live by those words for a little while, and he's gonna rub it in our face, and that's okay. Because Marco and I have the proven things on the field.
Hold on, I have something proven over you, Michael. My team beat you in the World Series. How's that?
Ryan, we don't need to bring up the drama. It's every time. We get it. Thank you, Danny, so much for coming on. We're really grateful that you came on out here. Some really incredible knowledge and information for us. You're welcome back anytime. We'd love to have you back, chat more, ask you more questions about baseball, journalism, maybe even the Giants. We'll throw in some childhood love for you there. But you can plug yourself. Where can we listen to you, hear you, read you, anywhere? Just let the viewers know.
Yeah, this is fun, guys. Thanks for having me. But you can read all my latest on CBSSports.com and then listen to the Fantasy Baseball Today podcast every week.
Absolutely. Make sure you go do that. You can also listen to him. You can find him on Twitter. It's just Danny Vietti if you look it up. And then make sure you do that, Danny. Thank you so much for coming out. We'll hopefully see you sometime soon in the near future. We'll let you know if we're going to have you on at some point soon.
All right. Thanks, guys. Take care. Stay safe.
Thanks, Danny.
Awesome. So Danny Vietti right there. Incredible guy to have on the show. He was very good. Also, I like that when it look at that. Wait a minute. They changed it on the thing. Normally, when you would have the four of us on the screen and I did it in this angle, it would only show our faces. But now it just got rid of the extra emptiness around the screen. So how about that? That's a great little update. But obviously, huge thank you to Danny for joining us. Very happy to have him on the show today. He was a very, very good. I mean, that was some great information that he gave us there. I mean, that was really great stuff all around with baseball. We hope we can have him back sometime in the near future. He was a very, just a very good guy to have on a show. So next up here on the show, we have the second of potentially 3 segments today, depending on how quickly we get through this, because we know us, we take some time doing these things. So for this next segment, as you can tell by the title, it is the top 10 players in our team's history. Now, I feel bad because I've been clickbaiting everybody with the title by saying that these people are here, like it's the name of the show, and then with special guests, blah, blah, blah. And none of those people have actually stayed for the main segments, but that's okay. We'll eventually, one of these days, one of the guests will come in and stay for the entire show. Hopefully that'll be soon. But I'm very happy to have these guys on in general just to chat about baseball with us. I don't need them to stay and talk about their top 10 players in their team's history. So the top 10 in our team's history, this is a list. I'm sure all of us did it differently. I personally mixed it between performance and how well respected they were, obviously with a slight edge on performance, but you have to tie in, the respect in the team as well. So let's do it. We'll just go backwards 10 to 1 also. Ryan, I am going to put you back on the top because you were here first. He was here first. I know you got
moved me like 3 times.
He got here super early and he earned the top spot. He did. He earned that.
But you moved me like 3 times.
When?
Like today.
Back on top.
I don't recall. I really don't recall.
Like when Danny got here, you moved me around, and then all of a sudden, right now, I'm like, dude, what the heck, bro?
Your face is still on the screen. That's all that matters. So no, it's not.
Oh, he's mad now. He's mad now.
So we'll do 10 to 1, and then we are going to do it with the way that we're on screen and me, Ryan, Marco, Nick, and so no, it's we're going to do 10 to 1. From number 10, we'll do me 10, Ryan 10, Marco 10, Nick 10, just to keep up so that you guys are, we'll try and get through it pretty quickly. Hopefully by 5:40 we could be done. So we have time for Ryan's segment that we know is always going to take a little bit longer than the other ones because he has so many great questions for us to ask. So number 10 in our team's history, starting us off, I have Gary Carter at the number 10. For the Mets, the 10th best player in Mets history, or the number 10 player in Mets team history, one of the most well-respected players. The numbers weren't always there, and he wasn't always necessarily the best catcher of all time, but, it was just such a well-respected face in the team, and he always hit very well.
For my number 10, I actually went with Kevin Appier. He actually played twice with the Royals in 2 different stints, and he is fourth in wins for the Royals with 115 and all-time leader in strikeouts with over 1,400 while having a 3.49 ERA overall with his time in Kansas City. So he is number 10 on my list.
Don't even know who that is.
my God.
Uncultured. Don't know. You only know about the Mets because that's
Okay, Marco Nick. Did you know who that guy was?
Yeah.
No.
Totally.
Nick didn't.
I did.
Marco is my boy.
Yeah,
He knows.
Bro. We know this, bro.
You got to call
Come on.
Nick uncultured too if you're going to call me uncultured.
Nah, Nick is cool. Nick is cool. He's cool.
Nick is so cool.
Shout out
Yeah,
to
Nick
you.
is cool.
Nick actually knows more about one sport.
Yeah,
And there's who just knows about one sport, but it's only one team in one sport.
We could
yeah, Michael, just to let you know, I'm locked in baseball, but I know about other sports too. I
I
got
know
a
you
little
are.
offended
I'm
when you
saying
said
like
that, bro. I was like, what?
Yeah, he's a broadcaster for the Suns, bro.
I'm like,
Yeah.
what?
I know, but Marco, we know that you've got your eyes on baseball. Like Ryan and Nick are still deciding that we know that. That's not.
Bro, my eyes have been set on baseball. I got my other sports as my backups and ones that I'll cover as well. So don't try this.
I've even told you, like, I have my eyes on either baseball or soccer. Those are my two sports. Like,
Michael,
you
you're
know?
doing great. You're doing great.
Thank you, bro. Seriously, man.
I'm just killing it. Don't try to put his name in bad terms. Come
I
on.
know, Mark. What are we doing? What are we doing? This is
You're
why our things can never get done on time.
All
This
right,
is the reason.
let's just move on. So 10 for the Los Angeles Dodgers, who are also the Brooklyn Dodgers. I put at number 10, Mr. Peewee Reese, and I really enjoyed this guy for two reasons. During his playing career, he decided to take some time off and join the military and do some military service for the country of the United States of America. And second of all is that he was one of the big ones to get accepted, well, not accepted, to make a start of movement of accepting African-American players in the MLB while Jackie Robinson was on the squad. So I got to give it to Peewee Reese from the Los Angeles Dodgers, one of the best shortstops in the game. Damn,
And
I talked pretty fast.
for the 10th best player in Tigers history, I went with Lefty Hal Newhauser. Played first year in 1939, ended in 1955. And honestly, he didn't play that much. He was another like World War II guy. A lot of Tigers guys were. He kind of just played in his prime and then left for a little bit, then came back. But overall, had an amazing career. 2-time MVP, 7-time All-Star, 2-time ERA title. Won the Triple Crown as a pitcher. Won a World Series, and he's definitely one of the best Tigers pitchers of all time. His peak was pretty short, but that, like I said before, because he went to World War II, I'm pretty sure. And then obviously came back and had a very decent career.
I do know who that guy is. I've heard of him.
Let's go.
So you're one. The only one that I don't know right now is Ryan. So
You're
Number
still
9.
in culture, bro. That's what it is.
thanks.
Doesn't matter.
Thank you, Marco. I appreciate it. Number 9 here on this list. This was tough for me. I flip-flopped 8 and 9 many times here, but I ended up – I flip-flopped 9 and 10 a few times here, but I ended up locking in number 9 at Carlos Beltran. I know, Ryan, you might have him somewhere on your list as well, but Ryan, your team has also hasn't had as many incredible players as the Nets.
Watch it. First off, he's not on my list. Second off, better as a Royal.
Disagree. So number 9 on my list, definitely Beltran, one of the greater outfielders in Mets history. He is one of the, I think he lands, he's the second best outfielder in Mets history as per this list for me. So definitely a big fan of Beltran.
Number 9 for me is the greatest Royals closer of all time, Dan Quisenberry. All time in, of course, saves, 166 career wins, which puts him in at first in franchise history, and over 2,500 career innings, which is first as well. So give me my boy Dan Quisenberry, 238 saves. He also has a 2.55 ERA, first in team history. So, yeah, give me my boy Dan Quisenberry, number 9.
Awesome. I blanked out for a second. I'm sorry. For number 9, I was thinking about something and I was like, "Oh shoot, it's my
He's
turn."
just like awesome.
Yeah. For number 9, I have the catcher that everyone knows. If you don't know him, you've probably been under a rock. So I'm going with Roy Campanella, 3-time. Stop it. I'm just kidding. 3-time MVP, World Series champion in 55. And at the same time, he's a Hall of Famer. Unfortunately, due to a car accident, he had to retire from baseball in 1957. So Roy Campanella, one of the best in Dodger history when it comes to the catcher position, and really, really well respected. he got a standing ovation from fans when he came out. It was one of the best pictures of all time, too. So, Roy Campanella.
And then for the 9th best player in Tigers history, it went with Harry Hillman. Most of these guys played, me too. He played in 1914 until 1932. Played for the Tigers for all but 2 years. He was a 4-time batting title. He batted as high as 403 one year, and we all know how much I like batting average, so that definitely factored into this. Finished his career with 342 average, 183 home runs, 1,543 RBIs, and one of the better all-around Tiger hitters of all time.
Now you know that he's you know that I'm not uncultured when Nick doesn't even know who the guy is.
1914.
1914. That's pretty elite stuff.
Don't try to drag Nick under the bus.
I'm not dragging Nick under the bus.
That's completely unfair. Don't try to drag someone else under the bus. That's completely wrong of you to do, my friend.
I'm not. All right. So for the number 8 spot in New York Mets history, I'm going with Jerry Kuzman, one of the top pitchers of all time. A lot of pitchers on this list for me. Starting pitcher, pitched in the Seaver era. Obviously one of the best players to ever wear a Mets uniform. If you read my article on the top 10 Mets pitchers of all time, you would see that he was on that list as well. A lot of those guys are on this list, so just keep that in mind. But that's my number 8.
My number 8 is going to be Paul Splittorff. You guys might not know him from him actually pitching, but he was actually a Royals broadcaster as well before he passed. I actually misread my stats on my doc. He actually is the Royals leader in career wins with 166 over 2,500 career innings. Both rank him first in franchise history. Nickname was Split. One of the greatest pitchers to ever put on a Royals uniform. Comes in at number 8.
Raise of hand if you knew who that was. That's what I thought. Marco, you're up.
Awesome. Just kidding. For number 8 for my list, I'm going with Fernando Valenzuela from.
Wow, early.
Gotta give it to him, bro. Yeah, he's pretty early because I got some pretty studs on the list, bro. You know,
Dodgers.
Yeah, it's the Dodgers, bro. You got some studs in history, bro. Fernando Valenzuela, the best Mexican pitcher of all time, in my opinion. And man, when a rookie from like him winning Rookie of the Year and also wins the World Series decides to start a movement like Fernando Mania that shook across baseball, that speaks volumes how dangerous this guy was. Not the best human being, I'll be honest with y'all. I got to meet him one time, but besides that, he was a great ball player. Yeah.
Yikes!
I got to meet him. Yeah, but anyways, I've heard stories. So
okay.
Yeah. But
Nick.
Number 8, Fernando Valenzuela.
Number 8, Tigers. I went with Lou Whittaker. More of a recent player than my other ones. Actually played in the 70s all the way until the mid 90s. Career 276 batting average, 244 home runs. He was Rookie of the Year, member of the World Series team in '84, 5-time All-Star, 3-time Gold Glove, 4-time Silver Slugger. One of our best second basemen of all time, and yeah, all around great Tiger.
Solid. I do know who Lou Whittaker is. So again, you guys are can't make fun of me yet. So number 7 on my list, a lot of people probably would disagree because they don't think that he was one of the best, but I personally think he is. This is Keith Hernandez. In my opinion, the best first baseman in Mets franchise history. Has so much legacy with the Mets. Obviously, an incredible broadcaster as well. Big fan of Keith. Love listening to him in every Mets game. That's my number 7.
The disrespect on Petey, bro. Oh my gosh.
Wow, Marco.
He's being messed up to us. We gotta do the same thing to him.
For number 7, you guys can call me biased. I don't care. One of the greatest defensive left fielders of all time, Alex Gordon. Easily one of the greatest defensive left fielders of all time. 8 Gold Gloves, tied a franchise record. He wasn't always known for his bat, but comes up clutch in some of the biggest moments ever in Royals history. We all know the whole infamous ordeal with him being held at third in Game 7 of the 2014 World Series, all the way to hitting the game-tying home run in Game 1 of the 2015 World Series off Juris Familia. Someone who else is just an icon in Royals history, wildly respected, and one of the quite frankly one of the most loyal and greatest Royals of all time, and my favorite player of any sport of all time. But that's besides the point. Number 7, Alex Gordon, which was his former number.
I'm incredibly surprised that you didn't put him higher. I really thought that would be top 5 for you at least. So you'll hear, you don't know, but there were actually some very talented Royals. I would place him over Salvador Perez if that were just me. I personally would.
Because Salvia is the World Series MVP.
That's true. I mean, Gordon has played a lot longer than Perez.
I love Gordon. I do, but
hey, it's your team. Your favorite player.
Transformed the way that the Royals play. Ooh, that's. Ooh.
All right, Marco.
That's why it's Ryan's team, not your team, Michael.
I'm aware.
Well, you know. What number was it again? 8? We're in 8, right? Or 7? Okay, 7. My bad. Okay, just want to make sure I got the right one. So, yeah, 7. I do have him. So, just like Ryan, one of the best outfielders and also one of the best defenders and bats of all time. Some people will get mad at me, but I got to go with Duke Snyder. The guy, 295 batting average, 407 home runs, Hall of Famer, 2-time World Series champion, 8-time All-Star, one of the few to be Major League Player of the Year. So, the guy was a straight-up stud when he was playing for Brooklyn and also when he went to L.A. So, this guy was a stud. Duke Snyder, one of the best.
Icon.
Could have put my mouse. So number 7 for the Tigers, I went with we're on 7, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Alan Tremble, another member of the '84 World Series team. Actually, was World Series MVP, 6-time All-Star, 4-time Gold Glove, 3-time Silver Slugger, career 285 hitter. Honestly, one of the more iconic players in our history. He wasn't always the best friend in the league. He didn't need to be. He was just a steady guy, and obviously came up clutch in the World Series, taking home World Series MVP honors. And yeah, all around, just great player for the Tigers. One of the better shortstops in our history.
I mean, Alan Trammell, definitely one of the most well-respected names in Tigers history, too. Number 6, I'm going with Darryl Strawberry, one of the best offensive Mets of all time, a member of that 86 World Series team. Goodness, the amount of dingers that Darryl Strawberry hit as a New York Met was unbelievable. Hard for me not to have him in the top 5, but the top 5 is just elite.
My number 6, Dennis Leonard, starting pitcher for the Royals. He holds the club record for the most complete games with 103 and 23 shutouts in 12 seasons with the Royals. He is also second in team history with wins, placing him at 144.
Okay, so here's mine, and this is for the late player that just was passed away this year for the Los Angeles Dodgers, Don Sutton. What he did for the team was basically incredible. Out of 23 years in the major leagues, only 3 seasons, he had an ERA over 4. The rest were under 4. Ridiculous. And the most wins in Dodger history when it comes to starting pitching. The guy was a straight-up stud, so I have him for number 6. So rest in peace, Don. We miss you, and we're gonna win another ring for you
this year.
Bet.
Number 6, Tigers, Charlie Gehringer. I probably didn't say his name right. That's because he played in the 1920s and then finished his career in the 40s. This guy, part of the 1935 World Series team, was also an MVP one year, 6-time All-Star, has a batting title, 320 career average, 184 home runs, 1,427 RBIs, put together one of the better careers this Tiger player has had. Started his career with the Tigers, ended his career with the Tigers. One of the greats.
So, the interesting thing about that I realized is that, first of all, I didn't know the Tigers have been in baseball for that long, so that's a surprise. But you know what's something we don't ever think about is that they played baseball during the Great Depression, but no one ever thinks about that. Like, we just choose to not really, like, I guarantee you none of you guys have ever thought like, oh man, I wonder what they did during the Great Depression while playing baseball. Like, people probably didn't show up to games as they couldn't afford it. They probably didn't pay players at all. Just a very interesting time period that I would have loved to obviously not live through, but see what happened during that time. So now we get into the top 5. I know I'm going to get a lot of flack from Mets fans, specifically on this number 5 spot, because I know some people, specifically my girlfriend's brother, who thinks that he should be number 1. This is Mike Piazza, one of the best catchers of baseball history. Huge fan of Mike Piazza. I agree that he could be a top 5 player. I mean, a top 3 player in Mets history. The only reason why he's not is because he didn't spend long enough there. And the top 4 guys have spent long enough there that I just feel like it's something that I just think that they've earned it a little bit from being there a little bit longer. But I mean, I can't say enough about Mike Piazza. Ryan.
And my top 5 starts with the 2015 World Series MVP, Salvador Perez. I don't know what else you need me to tell you. Since 2013, from 2013 to 2018, All-Star every single year. He's got, I believe, 5 Gold Gloves, 3 Silver Sluggers. This is a guy who has transformed the way that Royals baseball is where it is right now. He is the man behind the plate. He is one of the best catchers in the league and has been for years. And he continues to improve. Last year, he set a career high in batting average when he hit .333. He has been the guy with the Royals. He is one of the leaders, and he is probably the most important player on the team and has been. And I'm just going to put it out there. If the Royals do not give him a contract extension soon, I'm going to be very mad. So we'll just end it there.
Awesome. For number 5, I might get a little bit of heat, but I got to represent my dog. And that is Mr. Orel Hershiser. So the guy was a straight up dog in the 80s. I just can't believe he's not in the Hall of Fame, unfortunately. But this guy was straight up nasty every time he went up to the mound. For example, Cy Young Award winner. He won the World Series in 1988. Also, he won a Major League Player of the Year. So I think some people, they kind of overlook Orel Hershiser and what he did for the Dodgers, but I think he's one of the best players in all time because he was crucial for that 1988 World Series championship. So I got to give him the number 5 spot for me.
I love Orel Hershiser. Great pitcher. Pitched for the Mets. Very well respected guy.
But did he give you a no?
No, he didn't. Unfortunately.
So starting with the top 5, you guys might have heard of this guy. Goes by the name of Justin Verlander.
I've heard of him.
Yeah, maybe once or twice. He's cool. Only one MVP with the Tigers as a pitcher. Won the Triple Crown as a Tiger. Obviously won the Cy Young with us. He's my favorite pitcher of all time. It's sad. It makes me really sad to even think he's even on the Astros. I hope he comes back this year and absolutely balls out. But he was our ace. He always will be our ace. I'm getting very emotional for no reason right now because
I was waiting for Ryan to come out of left field when you said Astros and just go, cheaters! And just be randomly.
No, I'm currently on YouTube trying to find the garbage noise, just banging on it. But we'll just say it. Just like Robinson Cano. Cheaters!
See, okay, let me clear something up for you. Justin Verlander was a pitcher. Therefore, he's on the wrong side of the allegation.
Therefore, he knew what was going on.
He knew what was happening, so cheater!
Who was the one that blew the whistle? Fire, and he was pitcher.
He's a pitcher. And hold on. He knew about it. So that means Verlander knew about it. So what does that make him? A cheater!
Not in Tigers uniform.
I'm sorry, Nick. I opened this can of worms. I take full responsibility.
You see, Michael, it's you. You're the virus. Just kidding. No.
Wow.
Justin Verlander, definitely one of the best players and pitchers. So I gotta respect you, Nick, for that one. Unfortunately, didn't win a World Series, but I respect him. I wanted him so bad in 2017 that I was kind of sad we got Yu Darvish instead. I'll tell you that much.
You should have been. You would have won the World Series that year if you got Justin Verlander. All right.
What was going on in 2017?
Wow. This has been a great show. All right. Number 4, the third best Mets pitcher of all time, as per my article on MetsJunkies.com. Go read MetsJunkies.com. Michael Garaffa, top 10 best Mets pitchers of all time. Sorry, had to plug myself. But this is Doc Gooden. Dwight Gooden, more well known as Doc. The doctor pitched for both the Mets and the Yankees, was a part of that 1986 World Series. This is going to be a name that Mets fans remember forever. One of the most impressive rookie seasons of all time from a starting pitcher. Just an elite starter. Wish that I was alive to watch him pitch, but unfortunately I was not.
Number 4.
Gotta love Dom's. Sorry, Ryan, my bad.
No, you're chilling.
I just saw Dom's comment. That's why I was like, you gotta love that comment. Trevor Bauer says Padres on Saturday. You gotta love it.
Ryan, go ahead.
Hey, Dom. Padres not 2021 World Series champs. Get that through your brain. Okay, let's move on. Number 4 for the Royals, Willie Wilson, one of the greatest. Who?
Never heard of that guy, I swear.
Get out.
Teach me about him.
Just get out, okay? I'm done.
Teach me about him.
Willie Wilson, one of the greatest base runners of all time, as in 15 years with the Royals, stole 612 bags, had a 289 average with the Royals, 133 triples. One of the greatest, honestly, one of the greatest defenders in Royals history as well. Overall, a key piece of that 1985 World Series team. So, Willie Wilson.
For me, at the number 4 spot is Don Drisdale. Another pitcher for the – y'all see that? Y'all see that?
Yeah.
My light almost went out again. There it is.
Oh, there it is.
Don Drisdale. I got to go with him. What he did for the Dodgers, he's a Hall of Famer, Cy Young Award winner, 3-time World Series champion, 9-time All-Star, and also Major League Player of the Year when he was playing for the Dodgers. And Don Drisdale, number 4.
Number 4, I went with Hank Greenberg. It's one of the what-if stories, honestly, because he played 3 years. 3 years of his career were spent in the Air Force. But when he played, he was an absolute stud. Career 313 average, 331 home runs, 2-time MVP, 2-time World Series winner, 5-time All-Star. In his second year back from the Air Force, he went on to hit 44 home runs, 127 RBIs. One of the greats in Tigers history, no doubt.
That's
Big
amazing.
Hank Greenberg guy over here. Love Hank Greenberg.
Very solid player. Definitely a big bat. One of the best bats in the history of the game. So
Watch Michael say, huh?
Who? I know who Hank Greenberg is. The Royals haven't the Royals don't get as much coverage as some of these other teams, so we don't get to talk about them as much. So top 3.
Good one. The most because of your bias.
Top 3. This is where we get into the meat and potatoes of our teams here. Really solid players coming up. At the number 3 spot, I have Jacob deGrom. I know a lot of people might yell at me for putting him so high on the list for being a current player who's only played 7 years in the big leagues, but what he has done in those 7 years, if he spends his entire career with the Mets, he will go down as the best Mets pitcher of all time. And not to mention, if he keeps up the way he's been pitching the last few years for the rest of his career, he can go down as one of the, if one of the best pitchers in baseball of all time. By far best pitcher in baseball right now. Always happy to have Jacob deGrom on this list. That's number 3.
Number 3 for the Royals is Brett Saberhagen, another top Royals pitcher ever. And someone that I know Michael already doesn't know. I give up with you. He won 2 Cy Young Awards, one in 85 and one in 89. He was an All-Star 3 times. And honestly, he was one of the biggest pieces of that 1985 World Series championship team who brought the first championship to Kansas City. Brett Saberhagen, number 3.
Okay, for the record, I do know who Brett Saberhagen is. So.
Oh, it's a miracle. You actually know someone on the Royals.
I do. I've been 10 for 10 with Marco and the Dodgers, by the way. Well, 6 for 6.
Well, yeah, it's the Dodgers. What do you expect?
That's true.
All right, can you guess who my number 3 is? And I'll give you credit for that.
Guess there's so many.
Koufax.
Kirk Gibson.
Jackie.
Nick, you my dog, boy. You my dog.
Okay, hold on. So I'm intrigued here because there's only 3 spots left, and there's Sandy Koufax, Kirk Gibson, and Clayton Kershaw still that you haven't named yet. So one of them's not in your top 3. I'm intrigued to find out who. All right, keep going.
Jackie Robinson, the first African-American player in Major League Baseball history, broke the barrier, and he is one of the best defensive players and also was a great runner around the bases. Ridiculous.
Running the bases? Somebody say running the bases?
No. I'm talking about Jackie Robinson. This is one of the guys that I wish I was able to be a time traveler and go back and watch him play. I really wish I could make that happen because the guy was a straight up stud, was so impactful for the game of baseball. He's one of my favorite Dodgers of all time and one of my favorite players of all time. And there's a reason why we celebrate number 42 every Jackie Robinson Day around MLB, except for the Yankees.
Wait, the Yankees don't do that?
Nope.
Really? Wait, how did I not know this?
Mariano Rivera.
Their 42 is Mariano Rivera. Even after Jackie Robinson retired and everyone started celebrating Jackie Robinson Day, they still give the number to Mariano Rivera. They didn't care.
Typical Yankees. Go ahead, Nick.
Number 3, the Tigers. You guys might have heard of this guy too. Miguel Cabrera. My favorite player. I don't know. He picks up a bat once or twice. My favorite player of all time. I love this guy to death. I wish he's one player I wish I could meet one day. I hopefully will get the chance to. 2-time MVP, first player to get the Triple Crown since Carl Yastrzemski. Actually has a World Series now with the Tigers, obviously, because why wouldn't he? 4-time batting title, 7-time Silver Slugger. In my opinion, the second best hitter of our generation behind Albert Pujols. This guy was a nightmare to get out on the field. We all know how good of a guy he is.
Those numbers aren't just that impressive to me. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Yikes.
Well, Royals fans do have high demands, I guess. So.
Yeah. Well, I guess. Ooh, almost just fell off my chair.
I know. Miguel Cabrera is I think he has the case to be the best hitter of our generation. He has a case. I think he's number 2, but he has a case to be.
Yeah, he definitely has a case to be, but Pujols
I would honestly even put Trout over Cabrera just because of what he's done in the last 10 years, but I would say Cabrera is right there.
Get out of here.
Okay, so here's the thing. So,
go ahead. You can.
I'm just gonna say the 2 years Miguel Cabrera won MVP, Trout finished second those years.
Right. And
I get Trout was young and everything, but like Trout has the case to be the better hitter.
Yeah.
But in terms of our generation, it has to go Pujols than Cabrera.
I could see that. I would put Trout and Cabrera at a tie, which that's great for you. I would hold that very high. So number 2, I'm intrigued to see what you guys think because there's 2 players left for me. I want to know what you guys think I'm doing for number 2 because then the other player obviously is number 1. So who do we think I'm going with?
Seaver,
Marco, Ryan, blank face. Oh, Ryan's living up to his name. He's blank.
Let me.
I'm sure Ryan's heard that his entire life. He's also not here to do this. All right. Well, we're just going to go with it.
Are you
so? Who did you come up with? Someone?
Seaver.
He's just.
I don't know, but like.
Please don't set your house on fire.
No, Whittaker.
Sorry. I just didn't want to say anything, but I'm going with Tom Seaver.
It's funny because I'm thinking about Tom, but I think he's going to be your number 1. And I'm thinking to a fan favorite when it comes to the Mets.
It's either Piazza or Seaver.
I already said Piazza.
Said Piazza. That's right.
Is it David?
My number 2 spot. That's the number 2 Met player of all time is David Wright. Iconic player. I love David Wright. Injuries curtailed his career incredibly, and I love David Wright. He is my favorite player ever, but he is not better than Tom Seaver. Ryan, who's your number 2? We all know who Ryan's number 1 is. It's just a matter of who the number 2 is.
I am back, gentlemen. My number 2 is Frank White, another top defender in Royals history. How do you not know who Frank White is?
I really don't.
How can you say you know baseball and don't know who Frank White is?
I guess I just wasn't ever educated on the Royals.
I give up with you. I don't even want to hear your voice. I can't do it anymore with you. One of the greatest defenders in Royals history, tied with Alex Gordon for the most Gold Gloves in franchise history with 8. Wasn't the best hitter, only hit roughly 250, 255 in his career, but another guy who was that typical second baseman that we were used to and that people were used to in the 80s, heavily defensive, not the greatest at the plate, but can get those occasional hits. Frank White, one of the greatest defenders ever.
See, I know people more off of their offensive stats, so to be fair, you've got to give me a bit of a pass.
I give up with you. I'm not giving you a pass. There's no pass.
All right, Marco, who's your number 2? I'm really intrigued on this because between Kershaw, Gibson, and Koufax, I wouldn't have left anybody out on this list, so I'm intrigued.
At number 2, I have Mr. Clayton Kershaw. Clayton Kershaw, one of the best pitchers of all time, currently chasing Sandy's shadow as of right now, but he's an MVP, Triple Crown winner, World Series champion, 5-time ERA title winner, also 3-time Cy Young, like I already mentioned, and 8-time All-Star. So, man, the guy has an ERA of 2.43 for his career. Absolutely ridiculous. I'm spoiled with Clayton on my team.
You are.
Number 2, Tiger of all time. I went with Mr. Al Kaline. You might have heard of him once or twice too. I don't know. 18-time All-Star.
Sorry, Michael doesn't know who that is.
I knew that was coming. 1968 World Series winner, 10-time Gold Glove, has a batting title. There's not much to say at this point. You know, Kaline arguably is the greatest Tiger of all time. Played his whole 22 career season with the Tigers. He's one of the greats. There's not much else to say.
See, I don't know if I'm blanking here, but I really don't know who you're doing for number 1. I know who Ryan and Marco are doing for number 1. I'm probably just having a brain fart and not thinking about it.
You definitely are. Once you say his name, you'll definitely understand.
Yeah, most certainly. All right, number 1 on my list, you already know, it's Tom Seaver. Tom Seaver, one of the best Mets pitcher of all time and the best Mets player of all time. Just an overall utterly dominant Mets player. I mean, he was there with the team for so many years, took the team to their first World Series championship. One of the best pitchers of all time, too, in baseball history. I mean, I would put David right here if he played longer and wasn't injured so much, but for a guy who really only spent 11 years in the big leagues, for Tom Seaver, who spent just about the same amount of time and was just utterly dominant, it's hard for me to think of anybody else.
We all know who mine is. It's the greatest third baseman of all time, George Brett. The lone Royal in the Hall of Fame who spent his entire career in Kansas City. Fun fact. It is a crime that Frank White is not in. He's an MVP, 3-time Silver Slugger. He's a Major League Player of the Year, 3-time batting title, Gold Glover, 13-time All-Star. He's got over 1,500 career RBIs, 317 home runs, hit 305 for his career. What else do you need to know? Best third baseman of all time, and easily the best Royal ever. Who's a better third baseman, Michael? Who?
I'm a big Mike Schmidt guy. Very big Mike Schmidt guy. And I think you can make the argument.
Goodbye.
I'm surprised you didn't say David Wright.
Well, no, he's not even close. I love David Wright, but no.
Okay, my number 1 is pretty obvious. Is Mr. Sandy Koufax himself, 3-time Cy Young Award winner, 3-time Triple Crown winner, MVP, 3-time World Series champion, 5-time ERA title winner, 2-time World Series MVP, and 2-time Major League Player of the Year. Also, he's a Hall of Famer, and 3 seasons throughout his career of 12 years. He had an ERA under 2. So, Sandy Koufax. That's another player I wish I could go back and watch him play.
Seriously.
Sandy Koufax and Jackie Robinson. That would have been amazing.
Huge Sandy Koufax guy right here. Love Sandy Koufax.
Thank you, Ryan. Ryan, where you at? Okay. You my dog, bro. You my dog. You my dog. You my dog.
Yeah, get out of here, Michael. Get out.
Hey, you know what? Nick and my dog too. Nick, where you at?
Yeah, we love Nick.
I can't do this. I really just can't do this.
Nick, use your other hand. Just go this way.
We're just gonna
Punch the left side of your computer. Punch the left side of your computer. There you go.
Michael, you might as well just be dead to me.
I figured out who Nick's number 1 is.
Okay.
Marco was talking finally. Also, before you give yours, I'm curious, Marco, why you didn't put Kirk Gibson on your list.
The thing about Kirk Gibson is that he obviously the pump home run in the 1988 World Series, but the thing is, he only played 3 years for the Dodgers, and he played 3 years. And 1988 was the biggest season that he was remembered for. Because of that moment that the guy busted both of his knees, decided to go out and go against one of the best closers in the game at the time and hit a game-winning walk-off home run. That's what he's remembered for. I love Kirk Gibson. He was a great manager when he was with the Diamondbacks. Wasn't manager of the year, but for me to put him a little bit higher on the greatest Dodgers of all time, I had to do a little bit more. And for example, the next season he played after the World Series title in 1989, he had an average of 213. You know what I mean? So he's remembered for the moment,
Completely agree with you, Marco.
Yes, sir.
Right. Nick, let's hear about your guy.
So you figured it out.
I did, yes.
So Ty Cobb will be number 1 on the Tigers all-time list, as he should be. Honestly, you could say he's one of the faces of baseball all time. I don't casuals might not know who this guy is, but honestly, he has the accolades to be MVP, 12-time batting title. Actually was a recipient of the Triple Crown, but I don't know if I would count that because he only hit 9 home runs in that season and that led the league. So I'm just not going to give it to him. Anyways, career 366 batting average, 117 home runs all time. Wasn't a huge power hitter, but we all know how valuable batting average is, so that's just what put him at the top. And one of the best center fielders of all time.
Absolutely. I agree. I'm glad I remembered him because I would have looked really stupid if I forgot.
I was concerned you didn't
look stupid with some of the things you've said today.
I was really concerned you didn't know who I was going to pick, but I'm glad you figured it out.
Yes.
Gentlemen, there will be no fill in the blank today because I have to go.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Sunday?
We'll just do it on Sunday. I have to head out too.
Yes. Absolutely. Well, let's get the intro in first. We at least stick around until I close the show. And
I have to go. That's fine.
Okay. So aggressive, Ryan.
If I'm late, I'm giving them your number so they can come cuss you out.
It'll be 10 seconds. So coming up on this upcoming Sunday, we are going to be doing the underrated show that we were supposed to be doing a couple weeks ago. We already set it up. We already have the things outlined for it. So make sure you're here for that. Tune in Sunday morning, 9 a.m. Arizona time. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you all next.